All right. Thank you for agreeing to participate. So why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Thank you, Craig, for having me. My name is Uchennaya Ogba. I'm originally from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a small business owner here in San Antonio, Texas. I own Echo Public Relations with my wife and I, and we've been in business for 9 years.
Oh, great, great. So I understand that you have some recaps of your own that you want to inform the audience about. So why don't you start telling us about them?
I'll be glad to. I'll be glad to. Growing up in Nigeria, I was not subject to racism like I guess my African American counterparts were, and definitely I didn't realize how bad it was, honestly. And especially come from Nigeria to a school like Trinity, you expect a certain level of elitism that comes with it because my African parents were like, if you're going to Trinity, that's definitely a school where they take pride if you're smart, they take pride if you have the funds to go there, and they treat you differently than other people. But I was wrong. I was completely wrong from the get go. Right off the bat, 2 weeks into my education, well, not education, just orientation technically, um, I was questioned by a fellow Trinity student about my intelligence and why I was in the school. The individual took the liberty to notice that we only had 10 Black people in my class, and I was part of their affirmative action process to get into the school. Um, After a bit of arguing and explaining to him that I wasn't part of no athletic club, I didn't play football, I didn't do nothing, I wasn't in no varsity sports, he still believed that I didn't get in the merit. So that was my first true interaction with racism. My second was when an individual insinuated that I lived in a mud hut. Now, I never condone ignorance, and if you're from a school like Trinity, I expect you to have some level of knowledge to educate yourself before you make false assumptions like that. But this individual was gun ho on the fact that I definitely grew up in a hut to the point where they asked me to describe the living conditions I lived in Nigeria and prove to them. Well, I'm fortunate that I came from an affluent home that even my home showed up in Google Maps. Now, this is 2005 when Google Maps just opened up. And everyone else was still like, oh, we're barely showing their homes and pictures. But I was able to actually show the full picture of my home on Google Maps because it was the one picture. They didn't have the 3D model they had now, but it was the one picture they took of it. And they were in shock. And to me, that was, that to me is an overt racism that people experience where I have to prove who I am, prove my value, prove the quality I bring to any place I'm in. Um, Another situation that occurred to me was my first day of class. We went through the process of introducing ourselves, and I said my name, and the professor told me and to the entire class that they will have to skip my introduction because my name was too difficult to pronounce and it would bog down the introductory process of the class. So everyone else was saying, hey, hey James, hey John, hey Sarah. And when it came to say my name, because at this point I was still using my full name, Uchennaya Kelechi Ogba, they felt, oh, well, is there a simpler name we can call you with, sir? And, you know, back then you had to had to come up with some nickname a few weeks later to let them appease to me. But now I think of it, I'm like, you can pronounce Shoskovsky's or any other major person's name and you will say it without having missing a beat, even though you can't speak Russian or German, you can name it. But my name you can't pronounce, even though it's toned very well, you can actually make a tune to it, so it's fun. So that was another instance where I felt that I was intentionally, I guess, shone a light on just because of my name, immediately making it seem like you know, I'm not going to be easy to work with because of my name through the professor. That's how I got it. I was called an African booty scratcher, and that story is actually quite interesting. So I attempted to join the swimming team because I used to swim back in high school, and you know, I was practicing with the team and doing all the drills that to see if you're eligible, and I was really good. At one point, I got out of the pool, I scratched my butt because I'm in the water. I don't know what's in the water. I'm only wearing this skin tight spandex that Trinity provided, and I just did it out of like, hey, shoot, this is not comfortable. And this young man decides to scream across the pool, hey, African's booty scratcher. And everyone laughed. And it was a great joke at that moment. And of course, I heard it. It hurt. It really hurt. And of course, the coaches were there. Everyone was there. And as a black man, you know, I'm forced to, or we're forced to put on a mask to hide our displeasure so that we're not judged or sidelined or miss an opportunity. Um, I'm fortunate that I didn't join the swimming team. You know, that incident kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and especially going into a scenario like that. But that was another incident that occurred. Another incident that did occur, and which was much more serious, was I was accused of plagiarism at some point at my sophomore year. So a book, we were told to write a report on the book, and I gave my opinion. You know, I am from Nigeria, and my writing was way more advanced than my peers because before even Trinity, I had to go to additional college classes to really learn how to write in American English because I grew up writing in British English. Um, the professor said that I was embellishing work and that I did not have the fortitude to write the way I did. Of course, after investigation and perusing through my entire paper, there was no other paper similar to mine. So I got off. But it was definitely 3 months of unnecessary, you know, just racking my brain, like what's going to happen? Am I getting kicked out? This is not me. I don't do this. Two panel interviews of me asking deep down, what did you mean here? What did you mean here? What did you mean here? And I had to go through the process of explaining myself on my process of coming to those conclusions. Of course, I dropped the class. The professor, I just felt that was, you know, I don't know, you know, even now when I think about it, I know it's systemic racism, but in my heart, I'm like, man, why would you think to accuse someone? You know, why would you do that? You know, it's so easy to report somebody, and that's one thing about systemic racism. It's easy to report rather than to just investigate and find the right answer. So that did occur to me. Um, uh, Another scenario that occurred my sophomore year, I was denied an internship. I don't want to say the company's name because they're still around, but it was an engineering firm, and the owners were former Trinity students, and they had come to the school. And while talking to them, I was like, "Hey, what's my opportunity to get in this, you know, internship with you guys? I have the grades. I'm great. I'm black. You know, hey, I think I could do a really good job." And he told me I don't fit the company culture. And, you know, when an owner of a business is telling you that, it's instantly, that's saying, don't even try to apply. Don't even attempt to even be a part of my organization because in the end, I'm going to remember me telling you, you don't fit the company culture. And that really started to affect me at that moment, you know, because, you know, you think of, you know, all the work you put in as late night study just to get an internship, because everyone is telling you you need to get an internship so that you can be ahead when you graduate and you don't stuck without a job. But this was not the one-time incident, because it happened throughout my sophomore year. I actually did not get an internship, but I was fortunate that a professor gave me an opportunity, and I'm very grateful. Um, Now, we're moving to the police. Every semester, I was at Trinity for 5 years, because I'm in engineering science. I took my 5th year gap, but every semester I was stopped by the police. Every single semester. And I was given the same narrative. You fit the description. There has been a slew of recent break-ins and you fit the description. I think I heard that like 3 times. But knowing I go to Trinity, I know there was no break-ins anymore, because it would have been on the Trinitonian, they would have been talking about it, some rumor would go around. So I just felt that, that to me was a systemic breakdown of who I am. And it was a constant reminder that I was not meant to be there. Well, one notable incident that occurred to me was while I was walking from my dorm room with my roommate at that time, a white boy, to one of the, we're going to, I guess, one of the theater rooms or something like that. I don't know where we're going. It doesn't even matter, because we didn't even make it there. I got stopped by police. 6 officers showed up. I was told to sit on the ground, told I fit the description, after giving them all my identification, because I was scared. And I had been told multiple times by my parents, when you're approached by the police, what you need to do. I did it all. But I witnessed white privilege at its best, because my roommate was screaming at them to stop, cursing, telling them I wasn't the person, and they did not listen at all. I spoke up one time saying, it's not me, and that was when they put me in cuffs. So that incident, and this was around my junior year, ending of junior year, that occurred. And to me, it really just showed the bias that police had towards me as a Black man. And things changed while I was in training since then. A lot of things changed. By senior year, I had grown, a lot more into myself, and I truly wasn't ready to experience any more discrimination. So this is 4 years into being in the United States. I've already experienced numerous encounters with police, a number of encounters with students and professors who have told me, hey, you're just here. You're just an affirmative action. Students, I was told by another Trinity professor and another alumni, and also a potential employer. So this is one of those networking events that they bring students and employers together. And I was told that I should be grateful for being at Trinity. And initially, when you hear a conversation like this, especially for someone who has left the school, you expect, okay, yeah, you have a point. Can you elaborate more? And I was going in on like, yes, I am grateful. I'm grateful for the education. I'm grateful to experience new things. And it was like, no, you should be grateful because not many Black students go here. You should be grateful because we don't have to have you here. You should be grateful because you don't need to be here, and we can pretty much remove you from here. And he said it with a lot of confidence, because when you hear things like that, your brain you're absent to the overt racism coming out, but it was just like, all in all, he said, you sound very eloquent. You speak so eloquently compared to other Black people I meet. And I asked him, so what other Black people you meet? Like, I see 2 other Black students here. I know we're 30 of us in the whole school. So these 2 other folks, are they eloquent enough for you? And he was like, oh yeah, they're okay, but you are very eloquent. I think you should come work for me because it's so great to see you, and I'm glad you're grateful for being here, for the opportunity we're giving you, and from where you came from. And that to me was kind of the height of where I see and how they make Black people feel inferior to other people. Um, all in all, I graduated, thank God, did not do anything crazy. But for 6 months, I started working for a photovoltaic design firm. So I studied engineering science, and I was putting my great use skill in play. And this was all the way in Miami. So I'd already applied to a number of jobs. No one's hiring me. Of course, I had a funny name. I already felt that there was a lot of discrimination in the hiring process. But this one company took a chance on me. Moved to Miami, and throughout the entire time, I was being called a boy. I was told that I was limited in my skill, even though while 6 months there, I was able to turn in $10 million worth of work, where it even brought in referral business, and the sales guy made $300,000 in 1 month because the new people that were coming in said they spoke to their friend and they said, speak to Uche. But I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not going to take credit where credit's not due. But the disrespect that I ensued throughout the entire time was where it really tore me down. Demeaning workspace. I didn't really understand my rights as a worker. And even as an immigrant, I was even more scared of if I had lost any opportunities. So that was a 6 months of just grinding it out, taking it. But after 6 months, it was pretty much one of the reasons why I said I will be my own boss. I will start my own business. I will do my own thing, because I felt that workplace, and I still see to today, a lot of people in the workplace are discriminated against, by numerous individuals and told, different things, called different names. And, being called a boy, using the N-word in the workplace while I'm there, knowing fully well I am there, you know, you know, saying sly remarks about watermelon, and telling me, "Hey, Uche, would you be able to bring all the B words to the party? You have those connections." And like, those kind of like overt racist behavior was something that I was staying away. But lo and behold, even though I left working for somebody and I start my business, I still experience racism. Um, Another instance, I guess a general instance that did occur to me, was the first contract we were going for. So we went through the process of starting our business, and we got our DPA, got our LLC. We felt good. We were Black people starting a Black business. Let's get all our ducks in a row. And during that process, we actually met with a small business administrator. And we were literally told that we don't have the capacity to do what we do, that no one will hire you. No one will come to you. You just know that you don't know what you're doing. After showing proof that we knew what we were doing, our first client was a hotel, and we had shown that, look, marketing, public relations, social media, when social media just came out, we were very good at it. And they told us, no, we don't believe that. A lot of people the words were, a lot of people like you do not perform. So that happened. And of course, like any other business, we just put it in our back pocket, brush it off, kept it moving. Another scenario that occurred, and quite frankly, another really, really sad scenario, was we finally were able to, use some of our skill to get a government contract. And we're sitting down in a room of a big conference table. We have the heads of different city departments. This is a city employee that did this, but city department heads, employees, and we're having a strategy session on how to provide jobs to people on the east side. And we were called in to pretty much put the entire event together from creation to execution. During that initial meeting, we were, first of all, we were told that we need to bring in a white person the next time we're meeting to discuss our ideas, because they didn't, well, the woman pretty much said, the way you present is not good enough. The second thing was when we shared out, another time, another meeting before, we shared our ideas. We were like, we're pumped. We're going to get people in there. And, she said to us, Black people do not work. And, we're Black, only Black people in the room, business owners. Had to explain to her, like, yes, we do work. We are here. We are working. As you can see, we've submitted a number of things to you over the past few weeks planning for this. I think it's disingenuous for you to say those words, especially in front of people. And she said, she looked around and I was like, everyone agrees with me. You people don't work. Don't want to go into the details of how that meeting turned out, but as you can tell, it was really, really bad. Anyway, we had another incident. We were sitting down with a number of people, and this actually came from a person of color, a Hispanic woman, and she told us that Black people were lazy and they didn't understand the value of putting in hard work. I don't think you need to hire Black people. You can tell what this conversation was about us bringing in new, and we had been growing, and we had been discussing ways to hire new people, and we were just having a fun conversation with some of our clients about it. And she felt in her heart, she needed to tell us, don't hire Black people or else you will not be successful. I think that was the first day we told people in the room we will always hire Black people. And we were like, if anything, we will put priority on Black people. And they're like, oh, well, that's employment illegally. You can't employ people. Like, well, you know what? I can do what I can do. I'm a private business. If I choose to only hire a certain group, I will do that. And I had to go in on her and explain that, look, they don't call white people or Black people to pick the farms. They call Hispanic people to pick those farms. When you're going to some of these businesses, if you go to an all Asian restaurant, would you see, if you saw a Black person working there, would you think the food was good? No, would you? Yeah, exactly. So folks, everybody can do what they want to do, and we choose to do this. That occurred. That's another incident that occurred. But the most embarrassing incident, I think, that occurred, and it may seem small, it may seem little, it may seem like it's not worth time, but I was on set as a publicist, I'm usually on set. I'm usually helping clients be on the news. I'm helping reporters report stories. And we were on the east side, on location, outside. And as someone that puts events together, I took real big offense to it, but a string of cars came by, and each one of them started screaming out, fuck you, niggers. Fuck you, niggers. And this is San Antonio. It's really embarrassing for me because, I pride myself in the work I put out there. I pride myself in the hard work that we put in place. And as event planners, as people who put events on occasion, you're mandated by your client to protect them from incidents, situations, and issues that may arise. This was so embarrassing to have such a pivotal event to be going on for the East Side, where it's primarily Black people in attendance, people of color in attendance, not just Black, but people of color. And then you have people in vehicles, not just one, not just two, multiple vehicles, all driving by shouting the N-word at guests, people there. Um, but these experiences have really taught me because, and the reason why I mention this experience is because each one of these experiences molded me to find solutions to whatever, to how I can address it in the future. Because I don't want my children to go through the same situation. I don't want my children to ever be called an African booty scratcher. I don't want my child to ever be told, "Oh, you're just an affirmative action student, that you don't have the intelligence to be here." I don't want my kids to ever be, not proud of where they're from, because the way of systemic racism is about demeaning who you are, where you're from, and what you stand for. And I just don't want any of these situations to occur. But, as an immigrant, I definitely have less significant stories to share, but this is only 15 years. This is only 15 years of being in this country and experiencing this. So it's scary, but at the same time, I think hopefully, whoever is listening or watching can use this to empower themselves to know that, you're not alone. And if you're ever in that situation, my grandma always says, remember where you came from. Remember that people out there who love you, and don't let them make you become a statistic.
Uchennaya, thank you so much for sharing those stories. They are hard to listen to. As a fellow Trinity alum, I felt a lot of what you're saying and feel that pain, but I also appreciate the strength and the courage that you showed to tell them, because it will help to educate and give courage to other people who listen to this, and to prompt people who may not be Black or of color listening to this to think about some of their behaviors and their actions and how they approached their relationships with Black people.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Thank you.